This is how I climbed Mount Teide, an active volcano in the middle of the ocean, the highest point in Spanish territory.
We're on Mars.
After 3 attempts, I eventually told myself,
it, I'm gonna do it the way that I need to do it.
I had a plan, but I was having a volcanic existential crisis about whether or not doing it this way would count. If this would be enough to be considered a worthy peak 19 on this 50 peak journey to the highest point in every European country.
Starting this at 11:10. Let's go. Challenge accepted.
Before that, here's how you theoretically hike Mount Teide. Step 1. Get the permit months in advance on the National Park website for free.
You need a specific permit to get past a certain point because it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Step 2. Fly to Tenerife. You're basically flying to the middle of the ocean. Step 3. Get to the base. Step 4. Hike to the Rambla. This is also where the cable car lets people out. Step 5. Show your permit to the almighty gatekeepers. Step 6. Walk the final 163 meters to the crater. Sounds easy? It should be, but here's the situation.
I'm gonna level with you. The permits are free,
but you normally have to do it months in advance.
There are several companies who can access and get the permits for free, and they create these tours around the fact that they have the permit. I'm in 2 minds about this. I think it's a great idea for people who don't feel comfortable to do that kind of a hike without a guide, and I think in that case it would be great, but I saw a lot of the packages. It was literally take the cable car up, your guide will meet you up at the top, and then you walk the 150 meters to the crater with the guide, and the permit is free.
And then there are people like me.
I completely forgot my sunscreen, but luckily I always have this in my backpack.
I had planned to hike Mount Teide with a permit 3 times. Each failed attempt more stupid than the last. So this time I wanted to make sure it would happen. Besides, I'd come all this way to the land of delicious bananas.
Had a lot of bananas in my life, and I gotta say, the ones from the Canarias are the best. It even beats the ones that you can get in Asia, like little ones. Those ones are really good because they're really sweet, but these ones, they can be sweet, but they can also be like a little bit harder. When I first started this peak project, I was living in Spain. I got the permit and it couldn't go through because there was an ice blizzard storm in February, the same month that I'm here now. I'm currently here in February and I am sweaty. So the next time I had gotten the permit, everything was planned, but then I got bit by a spider. Yeah, so I had like, my face was swollen and I was in so much pain. I had a fever, like it was weird. Please don't ask me what the spider was. I haven't found him. I have no idea. I actually have a mark here. So a few weeks ago, I took the permit out for this morning from 6 in the morning till 9 in the morning. And my idea was to arrive here quite late on a Friday night after work, sleep for a few hours, and take a taxi to the base. But it didn't go. I looked into getting taxis and everything checked out online. And I was so wrong. I arrived at the hostel. It's closed. That's fine. There's a number. I call. They show me which bed is mine. And I say, okay, I need to pay. And if I can, I have a question about taxis. Do you have somebody that you know or have a recommendation for a taxi company so I can hire one for 3 in the morning? And she's like, no, this city doesn't have taxis. And I was like, what? Apparently, certain cities, not all of them, will have a taxi ecosystem where you have to hire from that place to take you to wherever you want to go. That one just didn't have it. It has a bus stop and that was it. So you're probably wondering, Natasha, why didn't you rent a car? Question, I tried. 350 euros for 2 days. Would you be okay with spending 350 euros for 2 days?
After all this, I had a dilemma to face. One choice with great risk and one that would have me wondering, is this enough?
One was going with the permit and hiking all the way up. Take a taxi there, and then I would hike up by myself. At 6 o'clock, that's when my permit would allow me to go through. So I would have a very short window to get up to the summit. The sun would set around 7 o'clock, and then I'd have to walk back down by myself. Then the idea was to get the taxi to meet me at the base and bring me back to the city. But my fear was, with this option, is that something would happen because I'd be up there by myself in the dark, and then I'd be stuck in the national park, or the taxi would decide not to show up, which has happened to me many times before, and it's happened to me on other peaks. And if that scenario happened, I would literally be screwed. The other option, take the bus tomorrow morning, arrive, hike up to the point where they say no more, you need a permit, and then that be it. But at the same time, say
whether it would work out as planned or not, that was another question. Until then, I had my existential crisis to ponder while in my sleeping pod. I've never stayed in a capsule hotel, so this is really cool. And it's super weird to me that we're on an island in the middle of the sea, surrounded by jungle, volcanoes. I'm hoping I'll get a good night's sleep. I feel like I'm in a space shuttle. This is so cool. Here we go. Good morning. I'm at the bus stop really early. All packed. See, it's full, isn't it? I've got so much food just in case something goes weird. I'm a little bit nervous. I had watched 5 people get turned away from the only bus out that day because their card wouldn't work. So you definitely need to bring cash. Luckily, I'd learned this lesson a few days earlier on a different bus ride.
already so late.
The bus was supposed to arrive at 9:30, and every minute that it was late was eating into my time to ascend and make it back down safely. It was a very tight time window. Approaching the base of the volcano, the history of Tenerife and the legend of Mount Teide whispered through the lunar-like landscape. The first known inhabitants of the Canary Islands were the Guanches. They were the indigenous people of the archipelago until the Spanish decided to conquer them in the 15th century, and sadly were taken prisoner and used as slaves. To this day, we can still find traces of the Guanches in the DNA of locals. Before the colonization of the Guanches, they had legends and practices that would surprise you. They believed that Mount Teide was home to the Guayota, who was the devil that lived in the depths of the volcano, and when angry, it would spit fire, fill the sky with smoke to cover the sun, and pour streams of lava down the mountain. And for them, the eruption would always be calmed by the Achaman, their supreme being. And even with the chance of another eruption, the Guanches would still go to the mountain every summer once the pastures had dried up, so that their flocks of goats could feed on the high-altitude plants that were still green here. Whether you believe in these legends or not, Mount Teide is an active volcano, and scientists say that it will erupt again. The last eruption was in 1909, and historically, it erupts every 100 years. You do the math. This is going to be a challenge. We're starting this at 11:10. Challenge accepted. We're going all the way up there. How crazy is that? Maybe I'll get up to the top and I can just wait around for a couple hours, meet people who have a car, go up to the peak with the permit that I have from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then I'll be able to magically find my way back. Is 150 meters and a crater worth the risk
of not being able to get back safely. I mean, I've asked myself this question so many times in the last 24, 32 hours.
I promised myself that if a miracle happened and I could get an earlier pass than what I have, I would make it happen. The lizard of Teide coming out from his rocks.
I wonder if he's looking at me. He's just like peeking his head out. First break here. It's been an hour. I'm about to get to the hard part. So I'm gonna have a snack, energy, and air out my toes because it's hot. I'm also gonna get some shade here. I'm really pleased with my time so far. So we're above 2,700 meters, and the reason I know that is because the map is showing that Montaña Blanca, which is like the name of the trail that we're doing, is just over there.
Hi! Hello, friend! I don't have anything for you. You can't eat my food. Oh, you're so cute. Look at your tail.
Oh my gosh, what's he doing? Bold. I'm 100% confident that if an eruption were to occur, that I would be able to run down this mountain and escape the lava. Last night I was actually dreaming my capsule that I was in the middle of an earthquake and I was running from lava because stupidly I was researching all these cool facts about Teide and when its last eruption was. So I freaked myself out. And yeah, it's actually due for another eruption. They say about every 100 years. And there's a 40% chance that it will erupt again in these 50 years. If you can make sense of that, cool. Yeah. Can you tell it's steep? Dale, fuerza! Super! I just stopped them and asked, and yeah, they ran from the bottom. Fucking sick. It's in an island from here. We have passed the refugio, which is at 3,200, if I'm not mistaken. So we're almost there. Yeah, feeling great. How sick is that? Peak 19. Yeah, baby. Da na 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 na. I swear it's not the altitude. It's just me. Or is it? This is unreal. Like just a really insane landscape. I know it's a volcano, but still crazy.
Once I saw the sign and the tourists dressed in jeans, I knew that I was close.
Let's go.
So far on the project, the height of the peak hasn't changed the excitement I feel. I've learned this whole journey gives me life. Even through the shit like the logistical nightmares, ridiculous amounts of money spent, and bad weather. The trade-off is the feeling that I'm alive, that I'm constantly learning and truly living my own adventure. And the endorphins from the exercise help too.
Ooh, I smell rotten eggs, so it's sulfur. It's as far as I'm allowed to come. Well, actually, where the teleférico is, that's as far as I'm allowed to come, but it's really noisy and there's a lot of people. What a hike. Did it in under 3 hours. Super happy with that. Week 19. Oh, it really stinks. The bus leaves at 4. I think I'm just gonna see this viewpoint here and then go get my ticket. Make sure I can get down because I do not feel like being stuck here. And for those of you who are like, but you didn't actually make it to the peak. Well, what I say to that is, if you would like to sponsor me to come back, I would need about 400 to 500 euros to come back and do it. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, this is mission accomplished. And if you're like a little bit bummed because you wanted to see a crater, go check out the Mount Pico video because I actually hike up into the crater. You can actually see the gases coming out of the volcano. And this is the highest we have been so far on the project. But over the next few months, ooh, baby, we got some good things coming up. So make sure you subscribe. I'm really stoked.
There's something else you should know. If the weather changes quickly to something like big wind gusts, they can close the cable car. So the idea that it's accessible to everyone is only when the weather is nice. Imagine coming up unprepared and finding out you need to walk down, especially if you're not physically able to. That would be a real nightmare.
This is the one time when you don't fart. Somebody farted. I can smell it. Holy shit. Made it. What time is it? Let's see how close we made it. It's 3:36. Time to spare for the toilet. Worked out fairly well. And there's the bus.
This is just the warm-up. There are 50 peaks on this peak journey. And this being 19, and not even one of the hardest or the highest, we've got a big challenge ahead of us. And if you want to support the journey, there are a few ways you can do it. I do have a Patreon community where you get a lot of exclusive content, behind the scenes, guidebooks, and live streams. We just did one last week, actually. If that's something that you would like to participate in and help fund the project and the content that goes on YouTube, you can check that out. For me, it's a massive benefit because I know every month how much I can for sure put into the Peak project and into the YouTube content, because all of those contributions go directly back into this. And actually, you just being here, watching, liking, and commenting really does help. So if you can't contribute on Patreon, no worries. You just being here and watching and enjoying the content is incredible. And I do hope you enjoy it. This is why I do what I do. And I do hope that you're able to live your adventures. For me, that is the #1 priority. As you can see, maybe from behind me, I'm in a very different climate at the moment.